Hola, ¿qué tal, amigas, amigos de Consejo Optometría México? Bienvenidas y bienvenidos una vez más a este espacio de entrevistas en el que periódicamente tenemos oportunidad de platicar con destacadas personalidades de nuestra comunidad. En nombre del doctor Abraham Bromberg, Norma Hernández, Sandra Hernández, todos los que participamos en el Consejo Optometría México, yo soy Luis Torres Albarrán y les doy una vez más la más cordial bienvenida en este espacio. Hoy, en el marco de la conmemoración del Día Mundial de la Visión 2024, tenemos una invitada muy especial. Es para nosotros un gusto, un orgullo y una satisfacción darle la bienvenida a Sandra Bloch, ni más ni menos que la presidenta del Consejo Mundial de Optometría, quien amablemente, generosamente ha accedido a estar aquí con nosotros unos minutos para platicar acerca de la situación de la optometría a nivel mundial y, por supuesto, de la situación de la optometría en nuestro país. Sandra Bloch es profesora emérita del Colegio de Optometría de Illinois, recibió su título en 1981 y luego realizó una residencia pediátrica en 1982 en el Colegio de Optometría de Illinois, donde fue miembro de la facultad hasta su jubilación en 2020. Completó una maestría en educación en la National Louis University y una maestría en salud pública en la Escuela de Salud Pública de la Universidad de Illinois. Cuenta también con un título honorario de doctora en ciencias oculares por el Consejo Internacional de Oftalmología y un diplomado en salud pública y visión ambiental por la Academia Americana de Optometría. Es miembro distinguida de la National Academy of Practice, miembro Silver de la Asociación para la Investigación en Visión y Oftalmología, ARPO por sus siglas en inglés, y miembro de la Academia Europea de Optometría y Óptica. Sandy Bloch también trabajó como consultora del programa Opening Eyes de los Clubes de Leones Internacionales de las Olimpiadas Especiales de 1995 a 2022 y fue fundamental en el desarrollo del programa de visión que se utiliza a nivel mundial. Sus intereses se centran en la atención primaria para niños y personas con discapacidades, así como en el diagnóstico y tratamiento de problemas de aprendizaje relacionados con la visión y cuestiones de salud pública que afectan a la equidad y la calidad en la prestación de la atención en materia de salud visual. La doctora Sandra Bloch es autora de numerosas publicaciones y ha realizado presentaciones en prácticamente todo el mundo. En noviembre de 2021 fue elegida presidenta electa del Consejo Mundial de Optometría, el WCO por sus siglas en inglés, y ha participado a lo largo de estos años en el trabajo cercano con la Organización Mundial de la Salud y también con la Agencia Internacional para la Prevención de la Ceguera. Así es que, sin más, demos la bienvenida a la doctora Sandra Bloch, presidenta del Consejo Mundial de Optometría. Sandy, thank you very much for being here with us on behalf of Dr. Bromberg, Norma Hernandez, Sandra Hernandez. Once again, welcome, and thank you very much for being here with us today.
It's truly an honor to be here, and I'm so excited to be able to talk about the World Council of Optometry. So let's go.
Let's go. Let's start with the first question of our questionnaire. We would like to start asking you what is the mission and the main objectives of the World Council of Optometry, this international organization you preside since 2021?
Well, I want to start with a little background. The World Council of Optometry is now not a new organization. We've been around for almost 100 years. Our centennial is in 2027, and we're all excited and looking forward to celebrating 100 years of representing vision within optometry for that period of time. We have changed a bit over the years, but now our focus is really about a vision in which a world where optometry makes high quality eye health and vision care accessible to all people. It's very important that we look at it from that perspective. The mission of the organization is, which was written a couple of years ago when we redid our strategic plan, is to facilitate the development of optometry around the world and to be able to support optometrists in promoting eye health and vision care as a human right through advocacy, education, policy development, and humanitarian outreach. It's interesting, in the past couple of years, we've shifted away from the way we looked at what optometry is, from a 4-level system where the most basic was an optical, and now up through level 4, which is what we now consider the true concept of optometry. And the definition that we're using for what we consider appropriate for the profession of optometry is, this is a healthcare profession that's autonomous, educated, regulated, And optometrists are the primary healthcare practitioners of the eye and visual system who provide comprehensive eye and vision care. And it includes refraction and dispensing, detection and diagnosis, and management of disease in the eye, and rehabilitation of the conditions of the visual system. In our mind, the expectation is an optometrist who has completed an academic program of education to be called an optometrist has at least a bachelor's degree or higher from a tertiary level education institution. This is very different the way optometry was defined in the past. And we know it's going to take many years to really move everybody up to that level. But the World Health Organization, after the release of the World Report on Vision, created the eye care competency framework in which the definition of optometry was what I just read, that we are autonomous, we serve primary eye care to patients all over the world, which is a very significant shift. And with that, we need to ensure the educational programs of the schools are at the level that put us at that right position. And that continuum of eye care goes from community health services all the way over through tertiary care. And we as optometrists fit at that higher end where a primary eye care fits.
Exactly, as you have said, it will take a long time, but we are on the right way, and we have important documents, references, and many other resources to achieve this objective about the profile of the optometrists, professionals in optometry of these days. Thank you very much for your answer. Nowadays, about this same topic, nowadays, what profile should optometrists have to address the main visual health challenges?
Well, I'm not quite sure exactly what that question is asking me, and I've tried to think about how I would look at an optometrist. To me, the profession as a whole needs to ensure that we prepare the graduates with multiple levels of knowledge and experience. They need to know the basics. They need to know the refractive error, the eye diseases. They need to know how to interact with the patient. They need to know how to treat the patient. And they need to be able to communicate with the patient in what was referred to as integrated patient-centered eye care. So that when we look at how to care best for our patients, we think about not what's good for us necessarily, but what really helps them so that they, number one, have affordable, accessible, available, equitable care. They understand that they are part of the decision-making process, which is really important. You don't want to dictate to a patient. You want to educate your patient, and together you make the decisions about how to address their vision problems. And you want to make sure, more importantly, and I think certainly I find students sometimes forget, you need to talk at a level that your patients understand what you're communicating. We all have a tendency to have a language in our professions, and oftentimes our patients don't necessarily comprehend what we're trying to share. So I really often will ask my patients, can they tell me what I've shared with them, and what does it mean to them, and what their next steps are, as well as how we're going to work together to solve problems.
Patient-centered eye care, it's a very important concept and a very important vision about the labor of the professionals in optometry nowadays. Thank you very much. Our next question will be, why is Mexico important to the World Council of Optometry? What is the potential of our country in terms of visual health?
So that's an interesting question. And I've known many optometrists from Mexico, and most of the people I know function at a level almost equivalent to how I've practiced. But I know from speaking to people who are really focused on advocacy in Mexico that there are challenges. While my scope of practice that I'm legislated is much broader than what is acceptable through what the government in Mexico allows optometry to do. I find that Mexico is an example of optometry working really hard to bring the regulation level, the advocacy piece, to the level of the education and competency of the graduates. To me, that is an example for many of the countries that haven't achieved that level to use it as almost a mentor or a model of how best to move optometry to that primary eye care level. It is not easy for many of these low-income countries where the profession has not been recognized to be able to advocate for themselves, to be recognized, and to be able to expand the scope of practice. Mexico is a good example of some successes. I do know that there's still some barriers and hurdles. Nothing happens overnight. And if it's worth working for, we keep pushing it. But I think the passion and the skills and competencies will help move it forward. It may take a little time. We know that oftentimes the government doesn't think about things the way we do. Our goal as optometrists is to provide care so that patients will maintain good vision, good eye health, stay independent. And as we look at that, if you look at the bigger picture, that is cost saving to the country. However, we all know that our politicians look at the short term, and we know that it's not going to be there in the short term. This is a long-term commitment, and I think Mexico can be a great model for us to use as to how best to move forward.
Thank you very much, Sandy. Hope it will be as you have said. About this same topic, but in a little more detailed way, what do you think about the performance of optometry graduates in Mexico? What are their main strengths and contributions, and what are the opportunities they should take advantage of in the future?
That's a very challenging question because we have made this big shift from the leveling of optometry at different levels of practice to this new concept of providing primary care. There are some universities or schools that are definitely focused on the broader perspective, because we all know you educate your profession and then you legislate. And in many of the schools, the educational program is as broad as any place in the world. The challenge is there are probably still some schools that are working to get to that level. And that is always challenging when you change. We basically changed the system, and now we're asking everybody to move up. And Mexico probably has some of those programs that are more technically based. And our goal, and within Mexico and within the world, is to help move those programs to a much higher level. And I think it's going to take more of a team approach, more one of the things we always look at is, how do we help the schools that don't have the faculty to move them to the next level? Faculty are an important component of an academic setting, and they're very valuable, and they're few and far between. It takes a number of years to become an excellent faculty member, and there are many people in Mexico that I would tap to be used as mentors. And to be honest, in my mind, I'm certainly at the other end of my career versus the younger people. It is the faculty who are experienced. It is our responsibility to help mentor younger faculty to develop themselves as better clinicians, better educators, because we are not trained as educators. We're expected to teach without truly the teaching skills, and to be able to know the literature. So I believe strongly that faculty should have some fingers into the research arena, because that forces them to really know the history of the different aspects of what we're teaching. And if you know that and you become more educated in the concentration area that you're teaching, I think that puts you in a different realm. So to me, part of the next step will be to develop the leadership, the educators, the deans, the administrators to help build those schools so every graduate is competent and capable to provide good primary care.
No doubt, huge challenges, but also huge opportunities for all the optometry community here in our country. Thank you very much, Sandy. Our next question, in the context of a region like Latin America, what role does Mexico play in issues related to eye health care?
So there's a number of things that I could focus in on. First of all, Mexico is striving to demonstrate how to move optometry as an equal with the other healthcare providers. To me, that piece is very important for optometry to be accepted in Latin America. Latin America is very challenging. There are a number of places where optometry is not well accepted or regulated or legislated. Mexico can be used as a resource for them to be able to demonstrate number one, optometry is good for the country. It is good for the population to be able to see better. There are so many good studies that say if your population has access to vision and eye health care, you can slow the progression of some of the diseases that are preventable. And I know there's research going on in the area of diabetic retinopathy and myopia and other refractive errors. I don't know if presbyopia is being addressed as significantly as some of those other topics, but there's certainly enough research to say that if we provide our patients the ability to see well, both the close as well as far away, that the population will be more successful and the economy of the countries will improve. If Mexico can demonstrate that shift, because they've certainly got the scope of practice and the education, then other countries can use it as a model to, because really Latin America is truly a Spanish or Portuguese speaking continent. And they would look more at Colombia and Mexico as the two leading countries within Latin America to say it's successful, it improves the healthcare system and the delivery, and it does it in such a way that our outcomes are better and it's cost effective.
Thank you very much. Well, it is an important mission for Mexico and also for Colombia. But well, Colombia is a little more advanced in that question. But that's the way we must go that way. Thank you very much, Sandy. Now we would like to ask you. You were recently in Mexico City for the 2030 Insight Live of the International Agency for the Prevention of Blindness, the IAPB. What can you tell us about this event?
Oh my goodness, it was an event that really brought together people who cared about making vision accessible to everybody at a level that was heartwarming, because you had multiple stakeholders sitting at the table and collaborating with the idea that we're all focused on the uncorrected refractive error goal of improving effective coverage by 40% by 2030 and addressing cataracts effective coverage 30% increase by 2030. The reason we're important in both of those pieces is it is through primary eye care that cataracts are often identified, and it could be us who says it's time for you to be evaluated for cataract extraction, and after that cataract extraction to ensure if there's anything else necessary to be able to improve the vision of our patients, because it's not going to be counted unless they see 20/40 or better. So we have a position as optometrists in addressing both the uncorrected refractive errors, and cataracts to achieve the goals of WHO SPECS 2030 Insight. So the SPECS program, which was launched this year, is a program that's going to truly address primarily refractive error coverage. And while the models are being developed now, it is part of that process to improve outcomes. The fact is, no one should be walking around this world with uncorrected refractive error without access to glasses or contacts, whatever that might be. The possibility of improvement with optical corrections is so easy. It's just the problem of designing a model to be able to reach all of the individuals, having enough human resources, having high quality lenses, ensuring that we monitor who has access, who doesn't, addressing vulnerable populations, whether it's indigenous populations, whether it's racial groups, whether it's children, elderly. I mean, that model needs to think about how can we expand to reach all of those people that can be improved. They say there's over 1 billion people who have a preventable vision impairment that can be addressed. We're perfect. We're in the position to help make that happen. And with that, there were a lot of conversations about how to do it and who should be involved. And with organizations starting to collaborate instead of working in silos is a really significant move forward. We all like to say it is my organization that's making a difference, but we do better if we do it as a community and we do it together. And I think that's what I took home when I left.
Timely and effective prevention must be a priority, as you have said.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you very much. Our next question: why is it important to commemorate World Sight Day? We are in these days we're gonna commemorate one more time World Sight Day. Why it is important for our community?
So, World Sight Day came out of the International Agency for the Prevention of Blindness, or IAPB, as a mechanism to bring vision and eye health to the public awareness level. Many times, people are not aware of what should be done to address their vision, whether it's addressing a problem that they have, preventing a problem from occurring. Um, there's a big loss of information that people just don't understand. I'll be honest, the dentists have done a really good job of public awareness building. I mean, if we could follow the way they've done it, so everybody knows how important it is to brush your teeth and take care of your teeth, it's just as important to do the same for your vision and your eye health. And as a matter of fact, we know that there are populations who are at high risk for vision health problems, that once that happens, vision is lost and can't be corrected. And we have not done a very good job in educating the public about things as simple as, if you are diabetic, you need to make sure you get an annual eye exam so that if there's any changes, something can be done early on, or we can guide you through taking better care of yourself. Or glaucoma, who's at high risk for glaucoma? It is a disease that will cause damage, and our patients don't even know they have it. However, if they had some regular eye care, or they know someone in the family had it, or they're in a population that's at high risk, if we could explain to them that knowing those things is important for regular eye care so we can prevent any long-term damage from happening. There's so many things that are going on now that are shifting how we look at our patients, and myopia is a perfect example of that. When I went to optometry school, myopia was simply a refractive error that we corrected with lenses. Now we know from years of research and good quality evidence that myopia and usually moderate and high myopia can lead to vision loss through multiple eye health problems. Well, we know that. And now that we know that, we need to be more considerate about what kinds of things we want to do. Personally, WCO feels strongly that we need to try to control the myopia development. Once the data's in about prevention, that is one of the things we're going to look at focusing on. So it's mitigation, it's knowing who's at risk and where they are, whether it's the refractive error or axial length. We have to know what kinds of things we can do to slow that progression down, and we need to manage them very carefully with whatever tools we have at our fingertips. That is a mechanism that I think is going to be perfect for optometry to help address in the long term. Myopia is no longer something I'm going to correct with glasses alone. I want to slow it down. I want to educate the public about myopia and how they need to know how to change lifestyle, like spending more time outside, less work up close, those kinds of things, as well as making sure they and their children get regular eye care. So that's just an example of some of the things that I think really do focus in on World Sight Day. With that, and I think you're going to probably want to know a little bit more about World Sight Days and their themes. Over the past couple of years, IEPB has chosen a significant population to really focus in on. And not only are they focused on the 1 day a year, but they're focused on pushing it for the 100 days up to World Sight Day, with the idea that people around the world need to highlight it. We need to educate. We need to demonstrate what kinds of things are available. We need to make people aware of it through various messages, whether it's through our community or the newspaper or public relations. This year's focus is on children. And it's on children because if you want the longest term benefit of awareness is you start with children, because we know if you prevent it early on, they can succeed more successfully academically. If they succeed there, they will succeed as working population and stay independent as an elderly individual. So the goal is really to start with children and make sure we teach them the importance of good eye care, to comply with the recommendations and lifestyle changes. It would give us our biggest, what they call bang for our buck. We will have the best outcomes if we start early on. As a parent of a very highly myopic child who now has a child of her own, it's my job to educate not only my patients, but my family as well. Because sometimes I think we forget about that we need to really share our passions with the people around us. So the fact that 2024 is focused on children really warms my heart, because I think it gives us our best outcomes long term.
It's a very important campaign, a very noble campaign, but also a very nice campaign. The IAPB have created a character, Artie, that it's a heart with some glasses. I'm absolutely sure that the children will love it, and that approach centered on children, I'm pretty sure that it will make will make warmer the messages, and more I think more easy to understand and to share with the families, for example, as you have said.
And we need to make sure that we not only teach our patients and the families, but we need to talk about it with some of the other stakeholders, which would include the pediatricians, which would include the school nurses and the teachers. There needs to be more of a focus on how vision contributes to a child's academic education. And with that, educating the people who are working with kids on a long-term basis. A teacher spends more time with a child than a parent does almost.
Exactly.
they are the ones who can really observe if that child is starting to demonstrate some challenges. I have to say, one of the patients right before the pandemic occurred, a father brought in two young ladies. They were both high myopes. They didn't have glasses. For whatever reason, the glasses broke and no one ever replaced them. So what they used to do in the classroom is they take a picture with their phones of the board and look at that. I mean, very creative, but a teacher would see that and would be able to encourage the family to do something to make sure those children get the right correction.
Thank you very much for sharing with us this experience, this example. We are near the end of our interview. That's why we would like to ask you. We understand that your term at the head of the WCO is going to continue for the next 3 years. But first, we would like to know um, what can you tell us about your greatest achievements along the last 3 years? We will have opportunities to talk about the next 3 years, but we want first to know what can you tell us about your greatest achievements along the last 3 years at the WCO?
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is nothing that we do is a single person. Everything we do is group. We have a president-elect, a president, and a past president. And when we move forward, we do it as a team approach. One of the most significant things is related to the World Health Organization. The World Council of Optometry is the only optometric organization in an official relationship with WHO. In the past, we've always been involved when WHO does something, whether they create the World Report on Vision or they have a conversation about different publications that they're doing. They always come to us to ask for guidance as to who is a good person to participate in the conversation. So we make sure optometry is at the global level in discussion when things are being developed. Whether it's the framework, whether it's some of the other tools that have come out, there's some screening tools. During these past 3 years, we have been very involved in many of those tools that have been developed and are available at the World Health Organization website for download by anybody. We've also just released this year is the competency document for optometry. And within that document, it is the goals of what every graduate optometry school should say. Our students have these competencies and are ready to provide quality primary eye care to the people they serve. In addition, we're one of 31 member organizations that are addressing the SPECS program out of the World Health Organization, addressing uncorrected refractive error coverage. So those things to me are very exciting. We've had conversations with many organizations. All three of us, Peter Hendicott, who's the past president, myself, and Cindy Tromans, we try to advocate for optometry whenever people inquire or request our support. We've supported the development of some new optometry schools outside of outside of the ones that are already in existence. We're happy to talk to legislators. We have 3 committees: our education committee, our public health committee, and our legislative committee, where if somebody needs support from any of those tools, we've created some educational programs on myopia, on dry eye, and we're working on one on presbyopia to help educate our colleagues around the world. We reinforce the importance of lifelong learning. So with that, those are things we're working on currently, and I feel very strongly that part of, my voice has been heard as a part of this, but it's never one person alone. It's always a team approach.
Thank you very much. And well, now what's next for you and for your team there at the WCO? You are going to be there for the next 3 years. What's next?
Well, we have the World Congress 5 coming up in Minneapolis, Minnesota in June. And if somebody is interested in speaking there, we will be opening the call for courses within the next couple of weeks and posters in the beginning of 2025. We'd love to see everybody come and join us in Minneapolis. It's easier to have a conversation face to face, and it'd be nice to be able to collaborate to move things forward. So I think that's one thing. I also would like to see us have more conversations with the continuum of care, that primary, secondary, and tertiary care are a conversation we do together with our colleagues in ophthalmology, because I think it'll be better for our patients if we all work to the highest level of our skill set and be able to develop a mechanism that patients understand who is the best person to provide the different levels of care. So to me, that's one of my goals, is to see us utilize our resources at the highest level we can.
Thank you very much for your answer. And well, we are getting to the end of our interview. Thank you very much for your time, for being here with us. Finally, what message would you like to share with the optometry community, students, professionals, researchers here in Mexico?
So I've been saying this for a couple of years. The World Report on Vision, which came out 5 years ago now, was a door that opened for the profession of optometry. It demonstrated how important optometry is today and for the future. And I would say, enjoy your profession, maintain a level of lifelong learning, stay abreast, provide the highest level of care for your patients, and enjoy what you do, because what you're doing is an amazing job. And we really want to ensure that our patients can have the best outcomes possible with respect to vision and eye health. I think we're in a perfect place to be part of the healthcare system as we move forward. And thank you very much for letting me speak.
Oh, thank you very much for being here with us, for your generosity, for all your knowledge, your experience. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. My apologies for the technical difficulties at the beginning, but well, finally, we have had the opportunity to be here to share with our community your message. Thank you very much. And hope this will not be the last time we share interview with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and have an absolutely wonderful World Sight Day.
On behalf of Dr. Bromberg, Norma Hernandez, Sandra Hernandez, Consejo Optometría México, once again, thank you very much. Dr. Sandra Block, Sandy Block, as we know you, thank you very much for being here with us. Amigas y amigos, una vez más, gracias también a todos ustedes, por supuesto, por estar aquí con nosotros. Feliz Día Mundial de la Visión 2024. Les damos las gracias una vez más por acompañarnos y les invitamos a que sigan las redes sociales del Consejo Optometría México, donde estarán ustedes informados de las próximas entrevistas que tendremos en este espacio. En nombre del doctor Abraham Bromberg, de Norma Hernández, Sandra Hernández, yo soy Luis Torres Albarrán. Muchas gracias por habernos acompañado y les invitamos a que estén pendientes de nuestra próxima entrevista. Sandy, thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Luis, thank you very much, and you have a wonderful day too.
Thank you very much. Hasta luego. Buen día.
Ciao.